thought I'd do a voiceover this time. I got there early Saturday morning, in the back way because that was nearest the car park. This is the first stand you sort of come across, and what really caught my eye here was this. This is one of the old Odontoglossum types, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Probably got Alexandre in it if it's a hybrid. It could even be the species, but I'm not sure about that. But absolutely gorgeous. And northeast of England, not so sure about the purple lads, but they had some good plants. I think that purple distracts from the plants. Not sure what the judges would have thought. Nice Cuthbertsonii at the front there. There's a Naevium there. It's quite an assortment with some of the more common sort of orchids on this display, which is nice. That's a gorgeous Masdevallia there, whatever it's called. There's a Shelob Tolkien there. So, you know, they don't have to have displays full of obscure orchids that, you know, you've got a job to pronounce. Lovely Coleogyny up the top there. That was well grown. And that looks like a Prismatocarpa there. Not quite sure at the distance, but yeah, no, a nice assortment. There's Miltonia Sunset there, and a nice little range of hardy terrestrials. So yeah, some nice plants, but I'll say not so sure about the purple. This is the North of England display. This is Ed's Orchid Society. Now this was a bit unusual because this was a massive chicken wire with all the pots sunk in it, then absolutely covered in moss. And it made for a very natural display. There's a couple of nice rosettes there as well, the first and the second in class. An assortment of plants, quite variable, some oncidium types in there, some dendrobiums, looks like an infundibulum type up the back, if not the species. Certainly a cross with it, I would suggest. Yeah, so quite a nice assortment of plants. There's a Shelob Tolkien there too. It gets around, doesn't it? And some nice paths and frags, but you'd expect that from the one that Ed belongs to, wouldn't you? I would anyway. Whether they were his or not, I don't know. But that one with the long moustaches, that got a second in class. And yeah, a couple more Naeviums on this display as well. And a lovely hardy terrestrial at the front. A pot full of hardy terrestrials. So that was North of England, Ed's Orchid Society. Central Orchid Society. Now this one always has the same backdrop, and it is impressive. They have an awful lot of bark rounds that look like proper branches on their display. Lovely bulbophyllum tucked in there. And they have this jungle backdrop, large sort of blown up photograph of a jungle thing. Lovely mass of hardy terrestrials on the left of the display there. Under the log it sort of looks like. And some nice mini Phalaenopsis, some larger ones, some Denphals. So a good assortment, but yeah, there's another nice second in class there. Anywhere you see the red ribbons, that's the second in class, the blue are the first in class. So yeah, overall this is a real natural looking display. They've stuck with it for quite a long time now, but with those sort of great big cork bark logs and that backdrop, very jungle-like display, very nice display. Thames Valley, that's not too far up the road from Wessex. Again, they decided to head off from the black cloth and do a different colour, a bit more neutral than the purple one, and this was a nice, what I call a tight display. Plants very close together, giving like a mass display rather than trying to single them out. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but some nice plants on the display anyway. Not bad. Now, Scottish Orchid Society, they came a long way. They always have a tiny display, but it's packed solid with plants and tapers up to what is a gorgeous hardy terrestrial sort of top. Very nice. Not quite sure what that is. Gongora? Something like that. Anyway, that is Encyclia Prismatocarpa, and that's a good one. Mine's at least got a spike this year, first time ever, but lovely display. And next to that, always these two are in this position, is Hinckley and District, and they do their display looking like sort of the outside of a house in a back garden. So with the sort of tiered shelves you might have, and a little window with some orchids in. you know, a sort of the sort of display that's probably, you know, like a lot of people's backyards. Gorgeous display of Deesers there, massive Deesers. So yeah, nice display. Bit spaced out, but then that's what you would do if you had those sort of shelves. So it works. Nice display. East Midlands Orchid Society. This got the best display in show this year, along with several other awards, I believe. But this was filmed early Saturday morning before those awards were put out. They have the same display every year in exactly the same sort of place. As you walk in the main entrance, this is the display that greets you. And lots of looks like raised beds. They have this sort of very pale pastel green sort of backdrop bits with the black cloth, and they always have a huge range and assortment of plants on their display. Some very large orchids at the back there, as in tall, I don't mean blooms necessarily. Lovely Ranithera there at the front, and yeah, have a look at this bulbophyllum as we get there. I believe that's a single plant, and it's been grown in a line, yeah, like on a, not on a log, but in like a trough. It makes for a good display anyway. Bit unusual, but they always have some good plants, and they always have exactly the same display, and have done for years, quite honestly. They've always got a couple of good brassicas in amongst them, so somebody obviously likes growing those. Orchid Society of Great Britain, in theory, should have the best display of the lot, because they can choose from their members throughout the country. But their members are throughout the country. They've still got to get their plants to a single spot, if you see what I mean. But this was a good display. Nice solid mass of plants. If all you can see is cloth and not plants, then your plants are a bit thin, you know, from a judging point of view. But this was a nice balanced display. The colours seem to blend nicely. Yeah, good display. Lovely cat there. Ruthlington School was there. Ribbons all over the place on this display, and you have to bear in mind as you look round this, most of these are specimen plants. Look at that Victoria Regina, and they're grown by school children in their own glass houses as a school project. I did a video of our visit last year, but some of these plants are stunning. And they're all species, no hybrids, they only grow species as far as I know. Look at that Oncidium. That was actually touching the marquee roof. And this is the plant. This is the plant. And it goes on, and this is the plant. And obviously a blue ribbon on that for whatever it was, a best in class. But they always get ribbons all over the place. I've seen at least 2 blues and 2 reds on that display. And yeah, nice. All done by school children. Makes you sick, doesn't it? Still. Cheltenham and District, including lady who didn't object to being on YouTube. I did warn her, but no, she sat tight. She wasn't going to move. And they had a nice display again. You know, so a few hardy terrestrials around, and all done based on wicker baskets in moss, sat on moss beds. Nice effect. You know, you can't all do the same display year in, year out. You have to come up with a new idea now and again. So that was theirs, worked quite nicely. I love that plaque. That's polished granite, absolutely stunning. The display idea of wrapping groups of pots in a bit of cloth, I'm not sure that works very well. And although there's some nice plants on this display, there's not many. You know, when you start analysing the display, there's not a lot of plants there. That looks like Lindley Eye, could be Jenkinsey Eye, but they've got a ribbon for something up there. Harrogate, another lovely polished granite display plaque. This was a nice display as well. A good splattering of Deesers in amongst this display. It's just the time of year they are in bloom, you know, it's just that way. Lots of Phalaenopsis on this display. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, you're getting judged on the display as a whole. What the individual orchids are is a separate type of judging. You get judged on the display, the layout, quality of the plants, and its effect, overall effect, that sort of thing. Lovely Odontoglossum there, whatever that is. And yeah, look at the colour on these Deethers, even though these colours aren't rendering true because the camera just doesn't get reds and oranges right in a marquee. Something about the light in a tent just doesn't seem to work. But yeah, some good plants in amongst that display. Very lovely dendrobium at the top. Probably farmer eye pink, but not sure. Very nice. Love that plaque as well. Again, hardy terrestrials dotted around. Again, it's their time, this time of year. You know, take your dog for a walk on the hills around the UK and you'll see these orchids growing wild. Or a lot of them. Some of them are hybrids. It looks like Niobium in the centre there again. There's a lot of them about, isn't there? Some nice masdevallias dotted in amongst here as well. Quite a large number of hardy terrestrials on that display. And look at these Cuthbertsonii. Look at the size of the plants. Given that these are miniatures, the sheer number of blooms, they were pretty good. Whoever grows them, probably the same person grew them all, they grow them well, don't they? Makes my one with 2 or 3 leaves on look a bit wimpy. Anyway, nice assortment of plants. A few obscure ones that I've not seen before, but very nice. And now right on the end, something a bit special. Yeah, Dimorphorchis lowii in bloom. Not only in bloom, but with both flower colours on it. This was on the Akerns stand. I had a chat with the guys there. No hard feelings from past times, but yeah, both bloom colours. And I asked about the plant, and they said it's 40 years old, 40 years old, and it obviously got the best in class.